Hey, it's the day of turning it off and on again.
Can we just comment? Can we comment on your beautiful artwork for a moment?
You like this? So I got this is from the gas station. It's actually beautiful, and this is from the dollar store. Also beautiful.
Nicholas, his art placement that has never once had art on it. So I think it is just be art at this point.
But yeah, it's my thing now. All right, let me take that from the top so that we can get a good clip out of this. What do you think about that? Sounds good.
Rock and roll.
All right. So today I want to tell you guys about Crowdfund. Crowdfund is Seed Club's premier app. We're developing a suite of apps as a part of our distribution first and software as content product strategies. So I'm the director of product at Seed Club, and in that role, I am leading this charge to make software that really empowers builders and shows up where they already are. So when we think about distribution first software, that means rather than pushing people to go to like a new website or install a new app, we want to show up in the places where they're already habitually spending their time learning information and creating their products and promoting their products. So we chose to build Crowdfund as one of our first efforts in the mini app space on Farcaster. And I'm proud to announce that we are the #1 mini app on Farcaster this week. Crowdfund is #1 for the first time since we launched about 2 months ago. So very exciting development for us. And I have some stats here I pulled up I can tell you about. So the version 1 of Crowdfund, I guess for people who aren't familiar with Crowdfund, Crowdfund is a decentralized app, a DApp that shows up really nicely as a mini app inside of Farcaster. It lets you crowdfund in USDC on Base. It's a no-fee crowdfunding protocol, and it's been taken up by tons of users already. So we have 5,000 users who've turned on notifications for the mini app in Farcaster. 3,000 donations have been made by 1,500, or actually more than 1,500 active donors for a grand total of above $40,000 fundraised so far. And actually this week we have a really exciting campaign that has propelled Crowdfund to the #1 position, which is this Los Fomos campaign. Los Fomos is a video podcast and channel on Farcaster. It's like a kind of spicy podcast that's like a Farcaster native community effort. And so far in the last, I think it's 24 hours, maybe a little bit more than that, they've raised $7,000. It's the highest velocity campaign we've seen on the platform so far. It's also, I guess, I think what's really exciting about Los Fomos for me is that it's sort of evidence that proves out this theory I had when we were first planning the product, which is that Farcaster, because it's this tight-knit crypto native community where you have the combination of social credentials through like social authenticity of posting all the time, wallets for every account, and this mini app affordance, that if we marry all of these three things, that it's natural that there's going to be crowdfunding opportunities that emerge. In fact, it's basically inevitable. So Los Fomos is a great example of this because it's truly a Farcaster native project. And the $7,000 they've raised in the last day or two, it's really a testament to how much people are interested in things that have this kind of authentic vibe in the Farcaster space. So exciting to see that project and look forward to them hitting their $10,000 goal.
Yeah, I think something that's been so cool about it is that, there's this very emerging kind of scene, social context there. And I think it's just very, easy to see that, all these tools that exist outside of the social context can just be more valuable within it. And I think there's just so many of these ideas where it's like, and that's where this idea came from, right? It was like, why does Farcaster not have a native crowdfunding product? Why does it not have, and you could go on for probably 10 minutes just listing stuff off. So I think if you're bullish Farcaster, it's growing, obviously still small today, but there's, a lot of just open space to build really kind of core tooling for this new scene and social environment.
Yeah, I think for anyone who's worked in the space, trying to build social on top of social protocols like X in particular, it's just many of these protocols that have tons of users are just so hostile to development. And what we think the opportunity with Farcaster is not only to find PMF and enable builders to, maybe solopreneurs or other people doing projects to get the first money in order to create that MVP that makes it possible to raise money or tokenize something like this. Also think there's a huge opportunity for projects to establish that legitimacy in Farcaster and then go well beyond. I think the classic example of this thus far is Clanker, where they've developed a business model where they use the authenticity and the density, social density of Farcaster as a springboard to launch tokens into the broader space on CT and Uniswap, where they're collecting fees. So they've created a massive business relative to their sort of stage of development because they're using Farcaster as the starting point, but not the end point. And they're not limited to Farcaster. And that's what's cool about the mini apps, that you can build a DApp that works in a web browser, just like Crowdfund works in a web browser just as well as any other DApp, but it's also really nicely adapted to Farcaster.
Yeah, maybe zooming out. Oh, go ahead, Jess.
No, go for it, Josh.
I was gonna say zooming out for a sec. So people watching being like, why the hell is Seed Club building product? Like, shouldn't they just be focusing on their early stage investing? So why are we shipping these mini apps?
Yeah, I think it's hugely powerful for Seed Club to be in the mix. Seed Club's real purpose is to be at the frontier of network infused venture capital and capital formation. And so there's no better way to be involved than to be in the trenches, creating tools that people are actually using to collect funds to enable them to build the MVPs that really are the projects that we fund ultimately in our accelerator, venture portfolio, et cetera. So the theory for me is very simple. If we are present and helping people to move the ball forward for their projects in as many different ways as possible, then it's going to be a natural fit for us to invest in them and just be close to sort of the inception point for the next unicorns in the space.
There's also sort of this, very purposeful approach of not trying to bite off too much and instead really trying to set the team up to be able to have a lot of bites. And I think one of the interesting dynamics that emerges as we sort of explore this is the question of scale and potential. And I think you've done a really great job at because it's very easy to get lost in the sauce on this stuff, and I'm very guilty of that, as you have informed me many times.
Yeah. Me and Jess are good sauce.
We're sauce guys. We're big sauce guys. Oh, it's the best part. Anyways. And so by being hyper focused, and not only did it allows the team to get something shipped quickly. I think the sort of AI enabled development allows a person to get most of that something shipped, and then into market, and then you're in a very different game all of a sudden where you actually get to see where people are using it. And I think what was interesting with crowdfund is you hadn't even launched the thing yet, and people were using it, right? And now you start to see people calling out issues, and then all of a sudden you start to see little new lines start to emerge where it's like, well, maybe if I pull on that one, there's something more further interesting there, right? And so it's been interesting to see this sort of like big picture down to a really, really, really small picture, to get very excited about the momentum that gets built at whatever scale that is, as it's building us up towards either crowdfund could just live as it is and it's saving people a ton of money just for crowdfunding on Farcaster, but my sense is you see some other possibilities here. So take whatever part of that you'd like.
Yeah, for sure. A lot to say on that. Definitely, I think we live in a very exciting moment to be starting new projects, especially. Certainly AI is going to be useful and is already in practice in larger companies that have existing products. But when you're starting from scratch with new products, really enables a huge velocity. And for me, the part that I'm most excited about, it's actually a lesson I learned from Sahil Lavingia of Gumroad. He posted a video in January that was very influential for me, where he basically says, it's not that, essentially you can remove a lot of people from the conversation. You can have much smaller groups building things, and that increases velocity enormously. Everyone knows this mythical man month kind of principle, but we can take it to a degree that's never been true before, or been true for only the rarest of talents who can really traverse the whole stack. Now you can go from having an idea, validating it with data using an LLM that can go do research, taking that idea into a PRD, a product requirement doc, taking that into a technical specification, going off and doing UI experiments with AI that can spin up UI in different ways, or taking it straight into the code with something like Claude Code or Cursor, as well as doing the kind of manual versions of these along the way to steward each of these steps along with your taste. It really displaces a lot of the role from executing, like typing on the keyboard, for example, or aligning items in Figma, and transitions it to a more tasteful approach where what you're really trying to do is define plans and documents and assess the plans and documents that AI is generating in order to come up with a plan that's really going to kill. You really need to review those things that come back from the LLM. You can't just hit go. And so it becomes much more about taste. So what we've used this for is to delegate specific mini apps to individual contributors who are really managing the full stack implementation of each of these projects. It lets us attack multiple things at the same time. So far, we've released 2 mini apps. Solana Bag Check is the other one, which is more of a software as content. Check your Solana wallet and assess what narratives you've been a part of based on which tokens you've been involved in. And that one's more like a lightweight application, also executed essentially by one person with input on design from others, but really stewarded by a single individual. So you'll see more software coming from Seed Club in the future that's executed this way. And it's very exciting to be able to have each developer focused on a separate project so that we can simultaneously move the ball forward in a lot of different ways at the same time.
Yeah, awesome. So what can people look forward to from the product team at Seed Club over the next couple months?
What are we going to do?
We have a few secrets I won't spill the beans on just yet, but I can say that
like we're trying to tease alpha out of our own product.
Spoil the own product. I think the thing that's most exciting to talk about today on the subject of crowdfund, especially, is that I'm currently authoring the V2 contracts for crowdfund, and we're going to be incorporating a lot of input from the community as well as some of our insights about where we'd like the product to go. So we're going to be solving a lot of the user experience problems people had when raising for this emergent use case that was really not what we anticipated it would be used for, which is these more GoFundMe style charitable raises. So we're going to be making it adapted so that people who are doing that type of project can succeed and raise funds in a way that is convenient for that style of project. But at the same time, we're going to be adding a lot of really cool and exciting features that are going to enable increased composability. I'm talking to the Noise team about possibly doing sort of composable integration with them so that you can send tips into a crowdfund, and enabling at the contract level that kind of composability so that future platforms and protocols that come out will also be integratable into crowdfund. So people can basically raise for whatever kind of project they're doing, but hopefully, especially ambitious, optimistic projects. That's what we're most excited about supporting. So you should hear news about Crowdfund V2 very soon.
Yeah, I love the idea of this public utility, that it could exist for as long as people are using Farcaster, which is hopefully in crypto, hopefully forever. And also, I know what you guys are cooking, and there's an unlock around sort of capital formation for the types of founders, teams, projects that we really see are core to Seed Club, and it's less about the fundraising from a GoFundMe perspective, and much more from a how do we aggregate belief and attention and social capital and capitalize a project or opportunity based on that. So yeah, I'm stoked. Thanks for hopping on. I'm glad we got the clip, Nicholas. I think we got it. For those listening live, thank you for your patience with it. I mean, you got to feel like you're a part of the thing now when it breaks, right? That's how it works.
Absolutely.
So.
It's new.
Anything you want to leave people with, Nicholas, before we bring Pedro?
No, go check out the Los Fomos campaign, crowdfund.seedclub.com. If you're in a web browser or if you're in Farcaster, you can just go to the mini apps page and check what's #1. You'll find us. Let me know if you have any feedback. Nicholas on Farcaster or Nicholas with 4 N's on Twitter. Happy to hear what your feedback is on crowdfund. And if you're at ETHCC or ETH Global Can, I will be there next week. So hit me up on Telegram or Twitter, Nicholas with 4 N's. Would love to say hi to anybody who's listening to the show.
Why 4? 3 was taken.
It's good SEO. And you just mash the N key and there's nobody else. I mean,
yeah. Right. Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you.